First rolling out of the factory in 1963, the Porsche 911 has become a true legend over the years. It's an iconic design that is continuously evolving, and today, with over 1 million cars sold, the Porsche 911 is the most successful selling sports car in the world. Beyond just its immense sales success, however, its cultural impact is even broader. The 911 has been modified throughout the years by not only the Porsche factory, but numerous privateer teams for racing, rallying, and other forms of automotive competition. It is one of the most successful competition cars. One of the most iconic and desirable of the early 911 race cars is the RSR. In '73, the lightweight 2.7-liter Carrera RSR would start the season in victorious fashion, winning the 24 Hours of Daytona, then going on to win the Targa Florio. In '73, the RSR was modified with a 3-liter engine for that year's 24 Hours of Le Mans. The modifications did not stop at the engine. Porsche added every conceivable improvement allowed by the rulebook, including massive fender flares, central oil cooler air intake, ultra-wide fuchsia wheels, 9-inch up front and 11 at the rear. The RSR also benefited from revised suspension settings and an incredibly effective braking system based on the exotic 917 components. The result was the RSR immediately proving its worth in racing, capturing wins at the 24 Hours Daytona, 12 Hours of Sebring, Targa Florio, and 6 of 9 rounds in the '73 European GT Championship. This car is a 1973 Porsche RSR Tribute. And if you've seen a lot of my videos before, you know that the one in the background, the Gulf livery colored car, is another one of the Tribute cars. Both of these were built by Jon Gunderson. And the difference between the two, besides obviously the colors, is the Gulf livery one is a 3.5-liter engine, while this one behind me is a 3.8-liter engine. They were both built by Gunderson, so they are to incredibly detailed standards. They are both excellent cars. They have very slight differences, but they make for a different driving experience. I mean, this one has a little more get up and go. It's about 2,100 pounds dry, and I have invoices showing about $118,000 was spent just on the engine alone. Now, all the money didn't just go into the engine, it went into the whole build. But just as an example of the level, the quality of the work, that much money was just spent making sure the engine was done just right. When construction first started on these cars, they took a 911 tub and media blasted it and then began building from there. Gunderson wanted to make sure that there was no fiberglass used in the builds. He didn't want to cut corners anywhere. So the flares and bumpers were made from steel, and then the front hood and the rear ducktail are made from aluminum. So there's attention to detail in every little bit of this car. Even when it comes to the paint, the Porsche right here is paint. It's not a decal. So just all the little things add up to make it a really nice car. While some people, myself included, might really enjoy the bright colors of the Gulf livery on just about any car, it's iconic and it's definitely one of my favorite color combos, but some people might want something a little more subdued, and that's where this darker blue is an excellent color. And it's not too subdued because of the kind of burnt orange interior. It's a really nice contrast, which I personally never would have thought of the blue and orange color combo, but once I saw this car, I really fell in love with it. And I do like that the orange isn't super in your face, but it's still a really nice contrast that shows off and just kind of really stands out among all the other cars. There were only 55 of the original Porsche RSRs built, so they're quite expensive, especially seeing as they dominated all the races. So to buy one today, you're looking at upwards of $2 million, whereas these cars are like driving the real thing, but at a fraction of the price. The build on these was extensive. There's no expense spared. So when you drive this, you feel like you're driving a real RSR, but with some modern day upgrades. I mean, to be completely honest, if you were to take this car and drop it back in Le Mans in 1973, you would dominate the races simply because there's some modern upgrades that just make it a better and more reliable car. But it's still, when you're driving around, it doesn't feel like super modern, if you know what I mean. It's that nice balance of the authentic experience, but with a little bit more reliability. And one of the main differences with this car and a old 73 RSR is the real RSRs were 2.8 liter and 280 horsepower, whereas this car is a 3.8 liter, or actually, sorry, the early 73s were 3 liter, the one this was replicated after. This is a 3.8 liter and 340 horsepower. So you get a little extra oomph. And then also they've added some components, some fuel injection, hidden nicely within to where it doesn't stand out and you don't see all the modern components, but they're still in there, making it just an easier drive. Another nice thing about this car is the engine was actually built by the guys who built the first round of Singer Motors. Now, a lot of people have asked me if this is a Singer, and no, it's not. Jon Gunderson built it, but the big difference between this car and a Singer is Singers are wonderful, but they're unique in the fact they take an old car and modernize it. Whereas this one, instead of just totally modernizing it, you still get that 73 feel, just with, like I said before, some more reliability. So it's not just a modern car. One of the nice things about driving this car, besides the fact that it's so much fun to drive and it's powerful and it does everything right, but I also love that the seats are super comfortable. So this one and the other Porsche have the Recaro seats and they fit perfect. They're comfy, not too squishy. It's just that awesome combination where I could sit in this seat for hours and be totally comfortable the whole time. Another cool thing about this car is if you are really tall, you can fit in it. So I'm 5'7". I don't usually have an issue fitting in cars, but I have a friend who's 6'7", and he sat in this car and he said he could reach the pedals fine. It wasn't his knees weren't hitting the steering wheel. He was totally fine. He was like, I could drive this without an issue. So if you are 6'7" or under, be happy knowing you could fit in this car and drive it, which I know is a huge issue for a lot of tall people. Another really cool thing about this car is when you're driving it, it really doesn't have many blind spots. So when you look around, it has that greenhouse effect where all the windows make it very open and you can look over and see the lane next to you and next to that and behind and everywhere, which, especially having driven the Lamborghini Countach recently, where you literally cannot see next to you, it's a really nice feeling looking around and being able to see where every car around you is. So driving this car has a lot of perks. One of the important things to know about this car, and definitely to not mix up, is that the gas is actually not put in the little cap in the back where it normally is on cars. That is where you put oil. The gas is filled in the front right here. And when I was at the gas station filling it up, I got a couple funny looks, people wondering if I knew what I was doing, but you definitely don't want to mix those two up. Now, I believe that they did that for weight distribution reasons because the engine's in the back, they have the gas in the front. I think that the DOT actually outlawed that at some point. Now, I could be wrong on that. That's what I've read, but there's a lot of reasons where manufacturers change stuff like that around. So to my best knowledge, it was a DOT regulation that put an end to that. As a testament to how reliable these cars are, these two Porsche in specific, built by Gunderson, the Golf livery car we've had for quite a while now, and it sat for a few weeks in the showroom, and one day I needed to move it. A lot of these old cars, the batteries die. It hasn't been on a tender, so when I got in the car, I had a feeling that the battery was gonna be dead. But I get in and turn the key and it started right up with no issues, which I know that Porsche are known to be a little bit more reliable than some of the cars I usually deal in. But at the same time, it's definitely a nice feeling, and you have a lot more faith in the car when they just start up instantly like that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, learned a little bit about the Porsche RSR. Stay tuned because we got a lot more content coming very soon.